The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com. InRavio.com.
Welcome to tonight's edition of Nerdgasm. I will be your pimp, and with me are my two ladies. This is our special cosplay edition. To my right, we've got Nelly Nells, whatever her name actually is. And who are you cosplaying tonight, Nelly Nells?
Well, we did a twisted cosplay this evening, so I'm doing Maleficent as a Sith Lord.
Ah, okay. I also noticed when the costume was in pieces that piece on your head looked a little bit like a butt with two legs coming out of it.
Thanks.
So you're kind of a butthead tonight. And to my left is, what's your name again? I forgot. It's been a long time since you've been here.
I am one of, 5 Heathers?
Yes. Oh, no, we're up to 33 Heathers.
30?
Yeah, this show's nothing but Heathers. That's why we're going to have a Heathers episode one of these days.
I like it. I'm down. That's cool.
Oh, they might be Veronica.
Well, I gotta say, and you've got a lightsaber with you. Right, so tell us the story behind this, about this lightsaber.
I won this lightsaber in an epic lightsaber battle. I'm sorry.
This lightsaber, so now tell me about this lightsaber battle.
I out-Jedi'd a Jedi to win this.
Joe
What, like
Winchell, to
Long
be
Island?
specific.
Long Island Jedis, what are you talking about?
Joe Winchell, actually. The reason he's not here tonight, because I killed him and stole his lightsaber.
Yep.
Oh, that's good, so that means I won't be interrupted tonight.
By him, at least.
Right, oh, that's true. So now, tonight's episode, we're going to be dealing with the Star Wars prequel trilogy and cosplay. Star Wars prequel trilogy. You heard what I said, G. So now, can we throw up the picture of these two girls at the last convention that they were at together? Look at you two. Okay, so this is an example. This is an example of cosplay. How do you two define it? Okay, you're Maleficent up there, and you are a shadow or something.
I'm a Heartless from Kingdom Hearts.
Oh.
In people form.
By the way, Timmy Packer's saying, "Hello, Nelly. I love your look."
Thanks.
Okay. So, also, we have some. We got to start off with some news because before we get into the Star Wars prequels event here, the big nerd news of the week is that Harrison Ford, on the set of Star Wars Episode 7, Mr. Han Solo, got into a serious on-set accident. So I don't know how much the questions that I have as something rattles around me. The questions that I have is, had he gotten any filming done in the movie? Was it like, okay, take one and action, ow? Or, like, had they had some, like, kind of, some something accomplished already, or was it like a pre-production thing? What happened? There's still like a lot of details coming out, but clearly it's going to affect the scheduling of Star Wars Episode 7. It is awesome that Han Solo is back along with the original cast. It is not so awesome that he is going to be out of commission for like 8 weeks now, they're saying.
Well, what I have to say about that, apparently he broke his ankle, but isn't he in his 70s?
He's 71.
The man is in his 70s. I mean, I'm all about Han Solo, but sometimes it might be time to chill out on the action when you're 70. Just putting that out there.
He was just enjoying
like,
Depends on how active it is. 70's up there, but you could still be a very active, physically fit, older gentleman.
yeah.
That's right, I'm 65.
Plus,
I've been breaking my Harrison
I was
Ford.
25 when I broke my ankle. So,
Well, big difference between 25 and
Right, and 70
71.
breaking your ankle.
Yeah, so let's hope that it's not going to affect shooting too dramatically, because sometimes like when you can't walk anymore, it's not going to be the same kind of movie. So
he also has that long robe. You could just hide whatever cast he has.
he's not Obi-Wan Kenobi. He doesn't have one of these guys. It's Han Solo. He's got like
Yeah,
the short.
he
He's
does
got
have
the
short
short
stuff.
vest. So I'm going to go right into our special Nerd Girl news segment, and our Nerd Girl tonight is Miss Erin Hickey. Miss Erin Hickey, and she's going to be telling you 3 fun facts about the prequel trilogy.
Hey everybody, I'm Erin, and here are 3 fun facts about the Star Wars prequel trilogy.
Who's your favorite Star Wars character?
Young Obi-Wan, yeah.
Not older Alec Guinness Obi-Wan.
What is it about Obi-Wan Kenobi you like?
I think just the actor. I really like Ewan McGregor. That's not an okay reason to like Obi-Wan. In Episode 1, according to Star Wars canon, Obi-Wan's hanging braid is a Jedi tradition common to all Padawan learners. When his master feels that he has reached proper maturity, he cuts the braid with his lightsaber, signifying that the student is now a full Jedi Knight.
Can you play the Star Wars theme on there? Oh my god, you got the R2-D2, what is this, a lunchbox?
Yeah, this is my lunchbox. According to Star Wars canon, the Tusken Raiders who kidnapped Shmi Skywalker were paid to do so by Count Dooku. Dooku had done this on orders from his master, Darth Sidious.
Let's test your Star Wars knowledge right here. Describe Count Dooku to me.
Oh, is he the one that has the big head thing?
Oh, he's over the gray hair and the gray beard. Surely you could be better. He gets head cut off by Anakin. Good work, Anakin. Kill him. This lighting, girl, is pretty spectacular.
Originally, a young Han Solo was going to make an appearance in the film, living among the Wookiees on Kashyyyk. And that was this week's Nerdgasm news.
Well, what's your favorite prequel installment?
The first one, the Phantom Menace.
No one liked that one.
I thought the pod racing was cool. I liked the intro and he's like swimming in the underwater world. Yeah.
You're a bigger dork than I thought you were.
Come on.
Okay. Wait, am I have to sit up here? Okay, so, my feeling, I gave a couple of days thought to this because I'm as big of a Star Wars fan pretty much as they come. I mean, especially my introduction to cinema was Star Wars. The first time it left an impression on me was the original trilogy. So I gave a lot of time in trying to give a fair diagnosis of the prequel trilogy. So my eyes are going to dart down because I have all of my notes in front of me, but it's very fashionable to bash the prequel trilogy to a point where a number of people simply trash it because of their friends do. So ultimately what we wind up with is a bunch of, in my opinion, herd mentality opinions because, ask yourself something. Why sports are so exceedingly popular? You ever question why sports are so popular? Millions of fans going out of their mind about a bunch of grown men throwing a ball back and forth and caring so much about it because one person followed what their friend said, or what their friend was into, and what their father was into, and you wind up with a lot of people sharing the same opinion for something that if they took a step back and looked at analytically, they would say, why do I care about this so much? Sports is an anomaly for me. And there's a lot of herd mentality in people's opinions. And anybody that acts like all prequels are equal unto themselves, or somebody that thinks it's fashionable, is somebody that's following the now fashionable trend that all prequel installments are awful. They're not. There's one that I don't particularly care for, but there's so much effort, thought, and intelligence put into individual ones. Even though it's no longer fashionable to say that. The majority opinion has to be that they all suck. And it's a little insulting considering the thousands and thousands of man hours put into it and the fact that there was a learning curve in this. Phantom Menace obviously opened up and disappointed a hell of a lot of people, undeservedly. When George Lucas began writing Star Wars as a modern day... Could you take your lightsaber, by the way? Thank you. No, I don't want my arm flying off there. When George Lucas began writing Star Wars in 1974, the idea was to make a modern day Flash Gordon, but he was coming off of THX 1138, which was a abominable failure financially, a very obscure film that was a bit hard to follow, but then the commercially successful American Graffiti. And he, on the basis of American Graffiti, 20th Century Fox gave him the go-ahead on the basis of writing a treatment for Star Wars. He spent a year, and what he came up with was a screenplay that didn't make a whole lot of sense, that people had a hard time following. And for all intents and purposes, wasn't very good. Now, that screenplay became the foundation of almost everything that followed. Even though it was a mess, he was able to refine it through the advice of friends, anyone from like Brian De Palma to Spielberg to a lot of different people that saw the potential but wanted to go further, including Alan Ladd Jr., who was his ally at Fox and a believer in Lucas and the project. So he spent the next year refining the screenplay, and it ultimately turned into the New Hope that we know. What the level of quality for that screenplay, that first draft, is more or less what we got in Phantom Menace, because gone were the people that were to tell Lucas, okay, that doesn't really work. And no one wanted to question where he was coming from on this. And what you wind up with is a pretty uneventful story. I mean, one thing does say it all, and that's that he had a 10-page backstory written back when he had A New Hope done. 10 pages. Of those 10 pages, about 1 page became a Phantom Menace. Shows you how much story was the foundation of the Phantom Menace. And he went to the roots of like Flash Gordon. I think Star Wars borrowed all of the cool things about Flash Gordon. Phantom Menace borrowed all the not so cool things about Flash Gordon. So, you know, it was 1999. This is the first Star Wars film that we had since 1983's Return of the Jedi, and and expectations were sky high to the point that you even had an option to see the trailer first before anybody else, but you had to buy a ticket for Meet Joe Black or Waterboy, which should have been an indicator enough that we were on a bad road. You had to buy a ticket for Meet Joe Black to see the preview or Waterboy. I sided with Waterboy. I probably shouldn't have. So
Kind of love that movie.
I guess
Water sucks. It really sucks.
So the basics, my basic feelings on Phantom Menace is that the performances just seem to, and I don't want to repeat what all the other bloggers and everybody else says. Some opinions just happen to be the same. So the performances just feel perpetually flat, and it's because there's a lot of green screen environments, and there's also a learning curve. Look at early film acting. Look at when the sound era just began from the silent era. There was a learning curve in terms of how people acted, and it took a few years before it got better. And I think you see some of that in Phantom Menace, although Natalie Portman and Sam Jackson never really got better.
Excuse me.
In that film, in that series.
Window?
Yeah, in that series. But you look at such there's an evolution of acting from film to film. It seems like everybody gets a little bit like the primary, especially the British actors, don't get better from one installment. But this is the first one. It falls flat. Everybody seems to be disconnected except for Jar Jar, and that's not a compliment. Because he's certainly not flat, let's say this.
He was the best part.
Am I the only one who doesn't hate Jar Jar? Like, I don't hate Jar Jar.
I like him.
I don't hate him. I was like, Misa, sorry, okay? Misa, sorry, I like Jar Jar things, all right?
I like him better than Boss Nass, I'll tell you that much. But wait, how bad had Lucas gotten at exposition? Exposition should never feel like exposition. And it, in most films, including the original films, the character says, I'm gonna have to go to the store and I'm gonna have to take care of something, and I'll meet you back here at 8. Whereas, like, when exposition, the material that you need to know in order to follow the plot is happening in this, it feels so regimented, it feels so false, and it's strange. I think as a writer, as a filmmaker, as an actor, it's a challenge to make exposition sound like real life and make it dramatic. I like scenes where I have to make exposition, because it's a challenge of trying to make that wordy information interesting, and you could do it, in character moments, which, I don't know, I guess he really didn't. So I don't like the art design. I don't really like Williams' score, which is much more akin to, say, Korngold's score for The Adventures of Robin Hood, which is very bouncy and buoyant and bright and whimsical, but not really in line with quite the tone that he had in the original trilogy. It was different. I applaud Lucas for trying to do something different. And he just didn't have much story to begin with, and he was trying a bunch of different techniques, the techniques that became the foundation of so many modern-day special effects. So he's to be applauded for the effort, but he sort of gets like a C- for the outcome. I love Star Wars. It's unacceptable that a Star Wars film can't be great. This one is the only one that I don't have on my shelf because I couldn't,
See,
I
now
have
this
a hard
is
time
my
with it.
favorite out of the prequels.
Was my least favorite.
Well, Qui-Gon Jinn.
But he was so bold. Liam Neeson
I
was
loved
bold in
him.
this film.
I loved every second of him. And pod racing. I thought the pod racing
Pod
was
racing
awesome.
is a bunch of vehicles driving in circles
I
with
loved
no
pod
dramatic
racing.
impact.
I thought it was
Circle,
wonderful.
Circle. I have
loved
no
it.
interest in.
Maybe
Think
I'm a
about-
redneck at heart and love like NASCAR. Maybe that's it. But the pod racing was exciting to me. I like that.
It was a vehicle driven by a 10-year-old driving around in circles with a bunch of cartoony characters and a two-headed pod
It's
racer
great.
announcer. I hated the pod racing, and I liked the locations. I liked the cameo by the Tusken Raider, and that was and stuff like that. So I did like Watu. I think Watu had a couple of cool moments. The floating anti-Semitic character.
The jerk.
Yeah.
Slave driver.
But I would say that there's probably about 5 minutes of this film that I think are worthy of the name of the title Star Wars, and the rest of it I just patched up to experiment. He was rusty, and he was trying new things. Still love you, George Lucas. It just didn't. I don't think it was even what you anticipated.
And then the Darth Maul battle. Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn.
I admired the choreography.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I admired the
Yeah, it was-
choreography of it, but I'm not sure how much I like it dramatically because I didn't really care at that point what's going on. This says it all. This says it all. I was in the theater, years of anticipation. Nothing was going to make this film go wrong. Nothing could possibly. It had R2-D2, C-3PO. It doesn't matter. I was going to like this film. I was in the theater and I was getting progressively madder as the film went on. Like I started off like Star Wars, and then like the scroll was coming up, and the scroll. Each of these prequel films seems to be as good as their opening title scroll. So the first one, you wound up with taxation routes and all of these things that I didn't care about. There's nothing dramatic, and it's almost like Lucas forgot how to write, And then the film started, and you went into the Asian-sounding characters who were, villains and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, this is not so good. Maybe it's going to get better. And at one point, I dropped something on the floor. If you love your film, if you love what you're watching, even if you like what you're watching, you race right down and you pick it right up so you don't miss anything on the screen. I dropped this thing, and I'm like, taking my time. I'm like, I don't even care if I look back up at the screen. So that said it all. 5 out of 10. This was the film that I was hoping would be a 10 out of 10, but I don't hate Lucas for it. Applaud the effort, and plus the techniques that didn't quite work in this film began to really work as time went on. So we are going to take. Wait, no, we're not going to commercial yet. I have to hear Heather's opinion and more of Nelly's opinion. Then we're going to hit the commercial break.
I didn't like the first one. I don't have much of an opinion on it because I don't really like it. I saw it once and never really cared to see it again. That's my opinion. That's why I'm kind of silent right now, because it wasn't my favorite.
Nelly, is there anything that
I
you
liked the first one. Actually, the reason I bought this lightsaber was so my friends and I could run around the mall and have lightsaber battles in all of the stores.
You ran around the mall pretending to be Darth Maul.
Pretty much. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed that battle. I loved Qui-Gon Jinn. I liked Jar Jar's world. I liked seeing the underwater worlds. How are they, the Gugan? Is that what they
The
are?
Gungans,
Gungans,
yeah.
something like that. I was close. But yeah, I liked their whole world. I liked how silly they were and stuff. I know other people thought it was not faithful to Lucas, but I thought they were cute.
I think the majority of going back to what Dave said with the sports mentality, like when it first came out, everyone hated it. Like I remember everyone hated it, and they were all in my boat, and I was like, yeah, okay, good. It's a bad movie, like not a bad movie, but it's because a lot of people like it now. And now all of a sudden, like everyone loves it. Like it's just the mentality switched. I think because this whole nerd thing is big now. Like and everyone's like, oh nerd, oh Star Wars, and they're legit fans. And I'm sorry if I come off as like really angry about it because I like that nerd is in.
The point that I was making about the football fans, I think a lot of people bash them and equate them all together, and because it's fashionable to do so. Oh, the Star Wars prequels really suck. No, I think you have highs and lows. It's like anything else. But they want to keep it simple. They want to act like they all suck, and they don't. So we're going to come back in just a moment after a commercial break and go into Star Wars Attack of the Clones, Episode 2. So come on back.
InRavio.com.
Hi, this is Tony.
And I'm Dan, and you're watching
Dear Dad.
Oh, wait, you're not watching it yet, but you should be every Thursday at our new time from
7 to 8.
That's the new time. Dear Dad on InRavio.com.
Only InRavio.com.
Where else could it be? Tune in.
On the internet.
Transmission of lice occurs from being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Like catching a cold or a flu.
You have guaranteed peace of mind in every bottle of Got Lice because all of our products are completely natural.
And organic.
But strong enough to cover all your lice removal needs while being safe and effective. Our professional technicians are specially trained with our exclusive proven technique to successfully comb out head lice. We come right to your home at your convenience.
Whenever you want us.
We bring everything needed to perform a successful and complete comb out while eliminating your head lice. And we leave you with our exclusive complimentary products to use for the next 10 days following our treatment.
For free.
Our technicians also check all family members who have been exposed to lice. Please visit us on our website today at gotlice.co or feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 646-257-0121.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered. Brown and the Killing Devils. Alternative progressive rock like you've never heard before. Over 1 million views on YouTube. New York City Village Voice says Paul is a gifted singer, songwriter, and musician with one of the best progressive rock bands on the planet. LA Underground Music Exchange calls him the only modern American band to cover every genre well. Pick up the albums Black Widow Tears, Red Spider, and The Wizard's Dawn, now on iTunes. And get to facebook.com/Killing Devils to keep up with the latest info. InRavio.com.
Welcome back to Nerdgasm. We are now on Star Wars Episode 2, so let's throw up that little logo that's on there. And so to me, it's clear that Lucas was well aware of the criticism of the prior film and really tried to up his game. How could you not? I mean, he had been reviled for the previous one. So to me, it's I see the influence of somebody that listened to his critics and try to bring it to the next level. However, it doesn't go from being a 5 out of 10 film to a 10 out of 10 film. It just happens to be, in my opinion, a decent film. A very inconsistent film, a wildly inconsistent film where you have some great parts and you got some parts that make you go, what? Really? These are professionals? So, but I can't fathom how anybody says this is I can't fathom how anybody doesn't see this as a step up. Now, there's Mr. Plinkett of Red Letter Media that says this is worse than Phantom Menace. Of course, you're going to say that because you want to be all daring, you want to jump on the hate wagon. Well, go screw you. So, Mr. Plinkett, you're basically a panel of 5 haters who talk about how much you hate films and conjure scripts together that you pretend come from one single voice. It was fashionable to dislike the prequel trilogy, and then you ran that bandwagon into the grave. So how about you come up with something that's an objective opinion of what's in front of you, instead of just trying to jump on the hate? So yeah, that's what I say to you, Mr. Plinkett. You're funny sometimes, the rest of the time you're just a ball of negativity. So first off, let me give you the reasons why this is better than the Phantom Menace. Okay, one, the Nimrodians are all but cut out, because they were pretty bad, remember? And Christopher Lee and him had done all those films together, in the Hammer films, and it was great to see him in that antagonist role as a kind of middling antagonist. You don't know if he's quite evil or not. I think McGregor anchors this film much better than Liam Neeson did. I feel like there's a much more humanity to the character, and it's almost like there was that learning curve with him where he saw what he did in the previous film and said, I'm being rather boring in this film. I've got to do something that shows some emotional range. Portman didn't say that to herself. So I think that...
Why all the Natalie Portman hate?
Because she's awful in the film.
Yeah.
All of them.
Is.
You changed. It's not all her own fault, but so there's a lot more plot, there's a lot more intrigue. I like the Zam Wessel scenes, I like the Jango Fett scenes. The dialogue still remains just a little bit weird. Have you found your way into the interior? I don't understand some of the phraseology of it. It's a little weird. I like the Camino cloning plan. I like the Jango Fett action scenes. I like Anakin's attempted rescue of his mother. That's a dramatic scene.
That's my favorite part.
It's great. Even though he's...
It was funny when he starts to slip. You're like, yeah, here it comes. All right.
That's great. It's really well done. I mean, even if the monologue that he has with Natalie Portman afterwards, not so great. But at least the story is there. At least the story held me. The Dooku lightsaber battle is possibly my favorite lightsaber battle in the series because it's much more. It's not just about the choreography. They have a lot of interesting choices of camera. At one point, the lights go out and they're only illuminated by lightsabers and this fog and the smoke and the sparks. It's a really interesting cinematic choice rather than just really good choreography.
Yeah.
And I found Dooku much more interesting. What's that?
I don't remember that scene.
You saw it a long time ago. That's when Yoda came out at the end, and then Yoda comes out. It was just, I love the ending, and it's a film that's. I remember I said there was about 5 minutes of Phantom Menace that I thought was worthy of the name Star Wars. This one's got a good 45, 50 minutes of what is worthy of the name Star Wars. So you're dealing with a big step up, in my opinion. I like the film. The acting is very inconsistent. There are scenes that are shameful. There are awful scenes. But the good news is, at least the awful scenes in this one are not CGI and poop jokes. It's just actors. No, in Phantom Menace, there was a couple. So it was a. I was glad to see that. The downside was that the actors had the romantic leads had no chemistry. I get, plot-wise why they're supposed to be there, but I just pretended that didn't exist in the movie. I just kind of closed my eyes. And Hayden Christensen is only like a couple of steps above Jake Lloyd in terms of acting, and the dialogue is awkward.
His acting was terrible.
But he's better than the kid, but not that much better. He reminds me of like
the kid. I'll take it from the kid.
Yeah. He reminds me of like a 1950s.
Once you hit puberty, you start losing excuses. I'm sorry.
But this is a telling story. So when I first sat down with The Phantom Menace with my family took me to see Star Wars as a small child. We sat down with The Phantom Menace on VHS or DVD, and my dad left the room after 10 minutes and said, "I'm going up." My mom said, "The director of this film should be shot," and she's a churchgoer. She didn't realize it was George Lucas made it. When I put this one on, they said they got through the end of it and they said that was pretty good. So layman's terms, people like Star Wars, one they couldn't get through, one they could. So I give it a 7 out of 10. Although no one seems to point out how Ewan McGregor's beard seems to vacillate from like one scene to the next, because sometimes it's fake, sometimes it's real. It's a funny little detail. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I give the first one, the previous one 5 out of 10. This one I give a 7 out of 10 too. See me. How about you, girl? Because I mean, plus there's just some great things in there amidst the crap.
Well, I haven't seen the movie since high school. Pop quiz. How long ago was that? Say in the chat. How long you think it's been? But it was better than the first. I was able to tolerate it, get through it. I don't know. I couldn't really care too much about it, knowing that they're all gonna die.
Well, technically, every film you watch, everyone's gonna die ultimately.
But you knew in advance, so it kind of made it like.
Okay, Nelly.
Yeah, episode 2 just really didn't do it for me. My favorite part was the whole Tuscan thing, when he went in there and cleaned out the whole community. That was awesome. Otherwise,
the Tuscan genocide there?
You know, I like mass killing.
Everyone dies.
Everyone dies. Awesome. That was the best part about it for me. Otherwise,
there's
I'd
a lot of good things. There's a lot of the Django. I mean, the battles with Django
didn't do it for me. I tried. I'm sorry, just didn't hit my muscle.
No, this is pod racing. Okay.
Pod racing, but yes. Give me pod racing in the middle of that.
Star Wars Episode 3, 10:35 is the time. Star Wars Episode 3. I love this film. I don't care if you had Quentin Tarantino says, that film it just sucks. I don't care. Screw you, Tarantino.
I'm with Tarantino.
It took you 10 years to be a good filmmaker.
Yeah, he doesn't have a right to say.
Hey, I'm with Quentin on that one.
Quentin Tarantino isn't bad at what he does. It's just if you have a certain amount of bad movies, you shouldn't criticize other people's bad movies.
Well, the director of Death Proof is, should be a little more modest.
I like Death Proof.
But Death Proof, you might have liked it, but was it a good film?
For me.
You
can't ask what any of you think.
I mean, Tarantino is I love Django Unchained. So I'm not, he's no hack, he's a unique filmmaker, he's a unique voice. But come on, Tarantino, one filmmaker to another. Cut Lucas some slack. So I love this film. It's the most consistent of the bunch. It has some of the best dialogue of the bunch, even though some of it's still really bad. It's the closest thing to having good performances, and contains some of the best moments in all Star Wars films. So I think this is the one that Lucas had been waiting to make from the beginning, back from when he made the original films, and it shows. I think there's a lot of heart and passion behind it, and it's like the fullest story of the bunch of them. So right from the opening shot, you can see there's probably no director out there that's trying harder to entertain you than Lucas, and I admire him for that, even when he goes overboard. It's got some great visuals and best art design. It's a great film with some bad parts, but like the best of Star Wars, the plot integrates stories, politics, mythology, religion, and tragedy fused together in only a way that Lucas could. I'm not going to say that this is better than the original trilogy. It's not, but it's worthy of the name Star Wars for once in the prequel trilogy. Whereas it's like the first one had a few minutes that I thought were worthy of the name Star Wars. The second one had, maybe half the running time worthy of the name Star Wars. And with this one, I thought that it pretty much from beginning to end was a worthwhile, albeit lesser, installment of the Star Wars series, And I would have liked to have seen what the sentiment had been from the public that bashes the prequel trilogies if they started with, say, Episode 2. Because it wouldn't have been, I think a lot of the Episode 2 hate was collective. It's sort of like, the first one was pretty bad, and this one's not great either. So people began to pile onto it. I think there's some really good scenes between Anakin and Obi-Wan discussing the Emperor, and when the friends are getting pitted against each other. I think that the scoring of little scenes like that are so well done. Like the John Williams score gets very subtle and very intriguing. I'm not finding the right word for it. Some of the dialogue is actually good because Tom Stopper did some writing on the dialogue. So when the lines are good, Tom Stoppard probably wrote it. I mean, there's some bad lines in here, too. Love can't save you, Padme. Only my powers can do that. That's a pretty bad line. That being said, This is what I love about cinema, the fusion of so many different arts, photography, music, acting, storytelling in all respects. It is a vivid, unique, visceral story that's far-fetched. And I place it fourth in the series. But at least it's not like something, at least I do consider it a Star Wars film. You know, and my basic criticisms are that it's exhausting. You know, by the fight tends to go on and on and on at the end. I'm like, but better, you know, maybe to do a little too much and a little too little. And for whatever reason, the Emperor's makeup isn't as convincing as it was in Return of the Jedi. You know, what's that all about? So, a big fault, and I'm going to turn it over to you, is these films were designed to improve upon the original trilogy, so you watch them all consecutively. It doesn't do that. You can't. If you watch the prequel trilogy before you watch the original trilogy, it's actually worse. So I take them as two distinctly different entities: the original trilogy, and then the prequel trilogy, which is not as good, but has some great things about it, especially as it went on.
Well, that's why they started out with 4. So if they started out with 1, no one would want to keep watching it.
It's probably true. I mean, if Phantom Menace just came out by itself and there was nothing that came before it,
we wouldn't know who George Lucas was today.
Absolutely, especially
to that.
Yeah. So let's get your opinions of Revenge of the Sith.
I figure maybe I have no heart because I couldn't stand all the crying. In the movie, I know he was having the struggle of deciding to go to the dark side. Just go or don't go. Shut up. Suck it up. All right? You're going to be this fearless leader. Well, this really feared leader, I guess. Just suck it up. I don't know. That irked me with the whole movie. And as I said, you were like, oh, well, it's so full of emotion. Maybe I'm heartless because I didn't believe anyone. I didn't believe.
But see, this is what I don't get. How do you find Phantom Menace acceptable? Liam Neeson was just as brain dead as everybody at the worst performance in this one.
Maybe it's because I think he's hot in that movie. I don't know. That could be it. Because he does it for me in that movie, and I don't like it.
It don't matter if you're a good or bad actor as long as you're pretty attractive.
Do it for me, pretty much.
Just Nelly, though. Nelly. Yes. She bases it whether you're going to make it in the film career based on how hot she finds you.
Yep. Okay, now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to throw it back to you. There are 2 scenes in this film, at least 2 scenes that I think are amongst the best of all 6 films. The first one is the opera scene where the Emperor mentally mind rapes Anakin. Well, not literally, but he tries to persuade Anakin to come. A lot of the Emperor Anakin scenes are great, even if his acting is maybe at the level at best of Mark Hamill in Return of the Jedi. He had the scene when they're in the opera together with the floating mass in front of them. It's a great scene. It's a great scene. I love the choreography. I love the pacing. I love the feel of it. I love the acting by Ian McDiarmid. It's excellent. And the other one is the execution of Order 66, which is one of the best scenes I've ever seen in any film. Fantasy, regardless, drama. Absolutely love it. This is why I love cinema. The way that you use your tools. And there's no dialogue really in the execution of the Order 66 scene, but it's beautifully done.
My only saving grace for the movie is Yoda. Yoda getting out there and kicking butt and finally getting to see him move around and that was pretty awesome. That's my saving grace.
No one was expecting that because we think of Yoda as this little old thing, and then when he does that, we're like, oh, this was before all that oldness happened to him.
Exactly. So I thought that was really pretty cool.
That was awesome.
So I will turn it over to you, my dear.
I liked this one the best because I like backstories. I liked the story behind it. That's my personal thing. So I don't really have any sort of thing to add, whether it was good, whether scenes are good, whether this or that. I just like the fact that they showed the backstory. If I'm watching a movie and there's a character that has no backstory, I will make up a backstory for him. That's how much I like backstories. So the fact that they went ahead and did that for me so I didn't have to was great.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to, the chat room is bringing up, Wolfboy NYC is bringing up Star Wars Rebels. That's a new Star Wars show that I think bridges Episode 3 with Episode 4. That's going to be coming out by Disney next year or so. And then obviously we're going to continue all this with Star Wars Episode 7. The injury of Han Solo is apparently the subtitle. So we're going to take a commercial. When we come back, we're going to talk cosplay. These girls are going to take over and talk about their experiences. So we're heading off to a commercial break and come on right on back.
InRavio.com. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com. Paul Brown and the Killing Devils. Alternative progressive rock like you've never heard before. Over 1 million views on YouTube. New York City Village Voice says Paul is a gifted singer, songwriter, and musician with one of the best progressive rock bands on the planet. LA Underground Music Exchange calls him the only modern American band to cover every genre well. Pick up the albums Black Widow Tears, Red Spider, and The Wizard's Dawn, now on iTunes. And get to Facebook.com/Killing Devils to keep up with the latest info. For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered. InRavio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. This is our cosplay edition of Nerdgasm. So, I'm going to, last weekend we were at Eternalcon, and I shot this video, give you a little peek at the nerd culture for everybody to take a look at. And here's Nicole Oliva with her segment.
Hi, everyone. My name's Nicole, and we're here at Eternalcon. Eternalcon is Long Island's most recent local comic book, anime, sci-fi, horror convention.
And cosplay.
Yes, I am currently cosplaying today Princess Tutu from the anime Princess Tutu. Today there's several events going on, the Macabre Film Festival, there's the Chamber of Horrors Haunted House, there's an artist alley, vendors booth with all types of outfits and toys and collectibles and comics and books and great things like that. We also have several celebrities here that you're able to do Q&A panels and take photos and get their autographs and things like that. Sayonara!
Asking me why there was no mention of the Clone Wars animated series, mainly because I didn't really watch enough of it. You know, it's pretty involved. It's a lot of hours. I only have so much time. So, ladies, you are dressed in cosplay. Explain to me what cosplay is.
Cosplay is taking a character from either like a video game, a comic book, or a movie and bringing it to life. Like the way we like to do our cosplay is twisting it up a little bit. Yeah, tonight we decided to do the Disney characters as Jedi and Sith because we just thought that would be interesting. We're trying to make sure that cosplay stays an art form. I feel like a lot of people are losing that nowadays. And it's becoming like everything should be perfect and everything, and people are getting snooty with it and talking about body types. You can be any body type. You can be any race. You can. And just, I want to make sure people are going to create.
The thing that annoys me the most specifically with that if you're overweight, yeah, everyone's gonna be like, yeah, you go, girl, like, have confidence. If you're too thin, everyone then, like, they gets on your case, like, you're too thin. Like, there's this whole big disconnect between just liking people for their body type and letting them do whatever they want, whether it's overweight, too thin, big boobs, not enough boobs. Like, if you want to be Power Girl and you don't have any tits, be Power Girl. If you want to be Judge Dredd, but you're a girl, be Judge Dredd. Like, it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, the rules are off. I mean, as far as I see, like, I love this sub. You know, this is kind of a subculture where everybody gets to, you know, do what you want to do. You know, without you're not hurting anybody, you're having fun. You're like, what draws you? Let me ask you, Heather. What draws you to doing this crazy, silly stuff?
I love dressing up. Love it. I would make my own Halloween costumes like every year from scratch. I wouldn't go to stores. So it's now an excuse to like dress up when it's not Halloween, and everyone, if you do a good job, loves it. If you don't do a good job, they love it. If you're cosplaying their favorite character, they love it. Like, it's just things like that. Even if it's some really obscure character that no one really knows, but there's that one person that's like, oh man, I know that character. It just makes your entire like convention going day.
Someone writes, Dave can cosplay as Joe Winslow, he just needs to start interrupting and start being surly and obnoxious. And also, Timmy Packer says, screw people with body type problems. I think both the ladies look wonderful in costumes.
Top was a gypsy for Icon, though. Most of the time, because I'm usually working with LARPs and stuff, and I have to draw in people. So I'm usually dressed up in my gypsy outfit. I've done Icon quite a few years. Did PAX East in Boston. We did Icon. We're definitely doing Comic-Con. We have really fun stuff planned for that.
Oh, yeah.
We have really fun costumes. That was another thing I wanted to say real quick is if there's anything that like you guys want to see, or any cool mashups, any ideas that you have, we're going to post it on Facebook later, but we actually...
The Nerdgasm Facebook page.
Yes, we actually made an email we're calling it Twisted Cosplay, Twisted with a Z. And you guys can email us and give us ideas, and also we want to exchange crafting ideas, because I know I'm fairly new. Heather's been doing cosplay longer than I have, but... we want like ideas on how to make certain pieces, and maybe we can have like an open exchange of creativity and cosplay.
Or if you're going to a convention that we're going to and you happen to be cosplaying something similar or in the same realm, come meet up with us.
Yeah. Oh, what's the email address?
It's twistedcosplay@gmail.com.
That's what it is.
Twisted with a Z.
Email this adorable, available lady. And you might just go out for a little date together in the long run. Now we're going to go to a segment. Is there anything else on the cosplay topic that you girls would like to discuss? Is there anything else? Okay.
Do it. Love it. Yeah. Craft your fandom.
Even if the day before you were putting together an outfit, fucking do it. Like, just do it.
All right, listen, I don't make all of my pieces. Of course, I can't. I don't have the time. I don't have that kind of life. I praise the people that can do that. They make all the pieces. Cool. But, like, I'm all about going to the thrift shop, and I can pull this, and I can pull that, and I can sew this together, and it'll look like something. Yeah. I just want more people to create and feel comfortable with it. Don't let anyone knock your cosplay.
Yeah, even if your cosplay is full-on store-bought, who cares?
PJ says, I have so much respect for those who put themselves out there cosplay-wise. Yeah. And Paulie C says I'm wearing women's underwear.
Sweet.
Yeah, Paulie C, you're my kind of person.
I refuse. Okay, I'm not going to dignify that with an answer, but I am. So we got a few minutes left on the show. Looks like we got 7 minutes left on the show. We're going to bring up the question of the week. So, can we throw on the icon? There's a question. Let's make that question of the week full screen. Question of the week. Our question of the week is, what is the most bizarre experience that you experienced? No, that's too repetitive. What is the most interesting or strange experience you had at a convention or film festival? And who wants to answer first?
Oh, there was that time I made out with Wonder Woman.
I'm going, okay. I don't like you anymore.
I didn't make out with Wonder Woman. I'm not cool enough to make out with Wonder Woman.
You're not even cool enough to make out with Linda Carter. So
She had nice hair.
yeah, okay. Now let's hear your story. I know you got an interesting one.
So it was like one of my first times. I was dressed up. I think they showed the picture as from Jet Set Radio, and it wasn't very good. It was just thrown together out of things that I had lying around. And everyone and their mom was hitting on. Yeah, everyone and their mom was hitting on me, literally. And I felt so uncomfortable because I was like newly single and just out of a relationship that was like a year and a half long, and I didn't know what to do. But I didn't feel right saying no to these kids that were asking me for their numbers. So I gave them my number, but it was all the numbers in my phone number just mixed up. And if they figured out the puzzle and called me, then, they deserved a date. Except there was this one kid that actually, I went up to him and was like, this is my number. Call me maybe. I just met you.
Like so, or are you exaggerating somewhat?
No, I literally went up to him and said, hey, I know we just met, but here's my number to call me maybe. And did not know about this song. And then all of a sudden, like 5 months later, the song came out.
So now
Carly Rae Jepsen stole it from
So
you.
you feel
She
bad
stole
now.
it from you.
All of those guys who asked you for your number and tried every combination of number and got it wrong. Now hear the story about how you gave it to some other dude because I don't know. I think he does it for me.
We didn't work out if it makes you feel any better. We're still friends.
How do I get this off? Now, Nelly, what is your most interesting cosplay film festival experience? What a convention.
Well, I kind of told you another story outside, but I thought of one. I was working for Fantasy Quest LARP, and the room was completely empty. There was nobody in there, so I had to go out and drum up some business. Now I'm in my super tight corset, my big heavy LARP boots, and I have all kinds of pouches and stuff dangling off me, and I'm trying to drum up business, and I go by all the anime kids. And I was like, listen, I need you guys to come to this room and check out our LARP. And they were like, they will not come to the LARP until I started dancing with them. So I sat in the middle of the circle doing the shuffle in my hard and my heavy ass LARP boots and my corset until I could not breathe anymore, dripping, pouring sweat. But I came back with a herd of kids and all in anime.
You Pied Pipered them.
I did Pied Piper them.
Very.
Speaking of dancing, you taught me at Icon how to do, what was it?
The tequila, whatever you call it.
Not the electric slide, not the Macarena.
The shovel. The everyday I'm
on roller skates. And that was like the first time I met you too.
Yes, and you're totally doing it on roller skates.
I was really good at it on roller skates.
Would anybody like to hear my story?
I would like to hear your story.
Okay, so this is a couple years ago. And this is the most bizarre convention story that comes to mind currently. So I had a 5-year relationship that ended, and I was having some ego issues. And then I wound up liking a girl for about a year, and she confused the hell out of me. Right?
As we do.
Really confused me.
We're good at that.
And she likes me, she doesn't, and I liked her. I pined after her for 1 year. At one point, I said, I don't care anymore. I'm going to just do whatever. So, and then I went to this convention, and suddenly I'm the world's most desirable man, which had been the contrary to what happened the year prior. So I'm there, and I'm clicking with somebody, and that works at the festival, and she's, one thing led to another, and I'm in the room, but I can't do anything because I'm still tied up on the long-term relationship, and so I can't really do anything. And I tell her, yeah, I don't think I can do anything here. So I leave, and then I meet someone dressed as Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman and I are getting along really well, and we're hanging out, and it's like this little fantasy. And I've always wanted to date Wonder Woman. She got the magic lasso on. She just looks like Linda Carter from the 70s doing the show. So hey, what's the music's coming up? Okay, so we wind up spending a lot of time together, and it's getting serious. I'm on my way out. We're gonna go for a walk together when another filmmaker stops me and says, Dave, remember that girl you were talking to earlier today? And there was another girl that I talked to earlier the same day. He's like, she really likes you. She wants to get together with you. You know, I'm like, I can't. I'm committed to Wonder Woman. We're going to go for like a little walk right now. You know, and then, so the hand gestures just threw me off. So I'm telling this guy, look, you know, I've got to, I just want to hang with Wonder Woman. And he tells me, look, Wonder Woman is hot, but this woman's even hotter. So I had to make a decision, what I'm going to go with. So ultimately, my flight was in 4 hours. I had the opportunity to do something, but old Catholic guilt kicked in, and I couldn't do anything. So all I got to do was just hug and cuddle with this woman, and then it was time for my flight, and that was that. But if I had no conscience, if I didn't think about these things, it would have been, you know, an incredible session with Wonder Woman.
I would have done something with both of them.
Yeah, really.
But then again, I'm not
Wonder
Catholic.
Woman and whoever.
So I got to fondle the magic lasso, if you know what I mean. All right, so that is it for this week's edition of Nerdgasm. And next week, you know, I think we're doing another summer movies edition, hopefully with special guest Matt M. Martin. So you got to tune in next week, this same time. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Nelly. And thank you, Heather. And thank you, Control Room.
Radio.com.